Brekkie with Vossy and Brandy this Monday, March 3. We are unpacking Vegas from yesterday. Big wins for Wigan in the Super League, for the Canberra Raiders, for the Gillaroos, and a thrilling victory by the reigning premiers Penrith 28-22 against Cronulla. All up, 254 points scored on the day, 46 tries. We'll chat Vegas in depth momentarily. Super Rugby, Waratahs 2 from 2. The Reds 2 from 2 as well. The NBL semi-finals are both going to a deciding Game 3. Perth against Melbourne, Southeast Melbourne against Illawarra. In the Champions Trophy cricket, Australia into a semi-final against it's India after India rolled New Zealand last night convincingly. India v Australia, New Zealand against South Africa in the two semi-finals. And in the A-League, wins for Sydney FC, Wanderers 4-1 over Perth, and Auckland along with Adelaide played a thrilling 4-all draw, 2 goals in extra time there. So there's a quick whip around the grounds. But Andrew Voss, we have been advertising your schedule as you are going to hand in a golden envelope to Peter V'landys and Andrew Abdo. When it comes to Vegas 2026, the Voss file reads which way?
All righty. I'd be saying, Peter, Andrew, take a knee. I want your attention. This is where we're headed. First of all, whatever we consider going forward for 2026 and beyond, it is minimum 3 games. It is maximum 4 at Allegiant Stadium. Now, the reason I say that, if they are hell-bent on including the women's game, there is only one game, one contest that can be part of the schedule, and that is New South Wales v Queensland Origin women's game. Absolutely 100%, nothing out of sight. Don't tell me New Zealand. I watched Australia play New Zealand at the last World Cup. Australia beat them by 50 in the final at Old Trafford. So don't think you're going to get a lock-stock guarantee of a close game. So that's where I stand on that one. A Super League game is now here to stay. It has been a huge plus this year to last, the English involvement. So yes, there will be always a Super League game. They should make their own rules. I would say have Wigan play St Helens here next year. Huge derby. 2 very strong clubs. I think that would be fantastic for this event. 2 NRL games, obviously a must. Therefore, a minimum of 4 NRL clubs are here. And that is why I say minimum, because I would keep the World Club Challenge in the mix. I think to the American audience, to have a game that has the world title in it, they would love that. That is more likely to draw attention that a trophy is being won, and that's what's lacking out of the games we've got. To say they've got the world, we're giving Vegas the world decider. I think they would like that. Now, how does that work? That would mean, how do you announce that? Well, we don't know the premiers until October, do we? So you have to work in with these logistics. An announcement would have to come the day after the Super League Grand Final. This is our Vegas schedule for next year. You could certainly put teams on alert that, for instance, next year you could say Storm, Cowboys, Bulldogs, Dragons, you're all going. You could tell them in July, but one of them might become the premier. Then you'd have to have a 5th team in. So I am saying minimum 3, maximum 4, 2 NRL games, 1 Super League game. You're either playing a Women's Origin game or the World Club Challenge. And here's the wild card, folks. And I speak from experience with this. One of the highlights at the last World Cup, incredible, was the Wheelchair Rugby League. If America is to play any form of rugby league going forward, I promise you it would be Wheelchair Rugby League that is more likely to get cut through. It needs its own purpose-built stadium holding 3,000. That can be in any one of the car parks around these hotels. I'm looking at T-Mobile Arena. You could fit the stadium out the front of it. 3,000 purpose-built as part of the program. I would have it the night before we go to Allegiant Stadium, Wheelchair Rugby League. It doesn't have to be Australia either because we're not the best in that. It could be England v France. I think that would be a huge draw card, a great atmosphere, purpose-built event. I would have Wheelchair Rugby League as part of the program in Vegas. You can react to that, but I'm pretty bullish on my points. I've given it good thought. That's where I'm headed, but I'm interested to hear what Brandy and the listener thinks about that.
So in summary, Women's Origin, a Super League game, Wigan, St Helens, World Club Challenge, and that might include Wigan or St Helens, in which case you'd parachute another Super League team in, an NRL game and Wheelchair Rugby League. V'landys, Abdo will no doubt consider that, and of course, one of the most powerful men in rugby league.
Yes. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Get to the chorus. This might take a little while to kick in, but not the 39th most powerful man in rugby league.
Mark on the text line says Brandy said he'd have a crack at Booney's beer record if the Riff won. Get the Fox sisters to pick him up and go straight to Alexander's. Greg, Brandy, Alexander, good morning.
Morning, Matty. Good morning, Andrew.
Good morning, Brett.
I thought all what you said, Vossy, was terrific. It's a little bit too early for me to. I'm still digesting what happened. I still need to sit on it and have a good think about it. I really haven't had a good thought about what we should do going forward. But I like your ideas. I'm happy to rubber stamp them, Andrew.
Brandy, you made me sit up yesterday. I heard you say Thursday night at Fremont Street, the love for rugby league, the celebration for the game, I've never seen or been a part of anything like. And I think here's a bloke who led Penrith to their first premiership and was part of those amazing celebrations. And he said that Thursday night at Fremont Street was the greatest rugby league celebration he's been a part of. Big comment.
Yeah, it was, but it's true. I'm not saying it's the biggest, but I said I had a chat with PBL last night after we finished, and we were jumping on the bus, and I said, you know what, Pete, it's definitely in my top 5. It was one of the most incredible things I've experienced. And of course, not as a player. It's a little bit different when you play and you win big games, but the feeling at Fremont Street amongst those 10,000 people, and the fact that the players bought into it, because I think people originally, and we were chatting before the night got underway, and we said, the players have had to do a fair bit. I don't know what they'll feel like, but as the event kicked in, you thought, wow, the players, they can't not but just love it, and they did. The players loved it. They bought in. It didn't matter whether you had a Sharks, a Raiders, a Warriors, a Panthers, a Wigan, a Warrington jersey on. Everyone was in a good mood. The NRL did it so well. And I know Fremont Street was a hit last year, but I didn't experience it last year. But this year was incredible. And everyone I've spoken to about it feels the same way. It was just one of those moments you just thought, wow, this is fantastic. And it was great. It really was.
Now, Fremont Street had an act that sort of emerged unexpectedly. Brandy, tell me if you recognise this voice, please. Oh, Elvis. Elvis lobbed at Fremont Street.
Hang on, what happens in Vegas stays in Vegas. How did that leak out?
What was that?
Yeah.
That was Vossy doing his best. We might get to a couple of Penrith tries just to set the scene as we go through this discussion. I'd love to hear the way SEN called Nathan Cleary kicking for Isaac Tungle. It was pinpoint perfection that we'll get to in a moment. Isaiah Yo's try also brilliant because not only did he beat Aden Fanua-Blake, but he went straight through Tommy Hazelton as well. Brandy, sitting there and watching your Panthers, those tries, the comeback performance after Cronulla had scored first. Here is Isaac Tungle collecting the Cleary kick.
Here's a kick from Cleary. Oh, yeah! Oh, Copperfield! Move over Copperfield. There's a new magic trick in town. It's Cleary and Tungle.
How good was Nathan Cleary first game back from that off-season shoulder surgery?
Outstanding performance, really, by all the whole side. When you think about, and I really did. I was concerned about this game because of the fact that they hadn't played a game. No, virtually the whole team hadn't run out in a trial match. So I know they had a scrimmage and a bit of a workout against each other before they left Australia, and then a little workout against Warrington. But I thought they might have been a bit underdone, and the Sharks did look good in the trial. So, and it was a terrific game in the end. Penrith's tries, back-to-back tries, Yo and Isaac Tungle, fantastic kick. And I thought their set pieces, and that was one of them, their set pieces, that saw Dane Laurie score a couple of tries and Alamotti on the other wing. I thought they were run to precision, and they just fell straight back into, the rhythm that they had at the back end of last year. I thought it was pretty impressive in terms of a really disrupted pre-season and not much footy. But the Sharks also showed that they will be one of the better sides. And Fanua Blake is going to be such a boost for them, and Nico Hines and Braden Trindle off the back of what Fanua Blake can do. And I thought the outside backs played well for the Sharks, but I think both teams showed it was a game played at breakneck speed. It was a high quality game, and we saw two sides that will be at the top of the premiership throughout the year, I thought.
After 3 blowout scorelines earlier on in the day, we needed that thriller at the end. Vossy, I think you might have tipped the Sharkies earlier on in the week when pushed to come up with a nomination. Was there any element of Penrith's play, or Penrith's return that surprised you?
No, I was thinking as I was calling the game live. This is honest, because Penrith were a little disjointed to start with. In my own head, I'm thinking, all right, my snapshot of Penrith is the process is still there, the defence is still there. They're brilliantly coached and prepared, but their attack's not going to be as good. By the end of the game, I thought, forget that. Penrith are just a professional outfit. They're going to be the hunted again this year. A force, but they need more than ever this year. And Nathan did only play 13 matches last year. Keep that in mind. He has to stay fit this year. They don't win that game without Nathan last night. Without Jerome Luai there now, Jack Cole isn't ready to step into those shoes, and that's with all respect. Nor is Blaze Talangi. So I think this year in this magic era for Penrith, they need a full season out of Nathan Cleary if they are to go that incredible 5th title in a row.
Goes without saying, Brandy, doesn't it?
I think so, Matty. Andrew's right. Nathan will have to stay on the field and played, only half a season last year. So, with those outs, with Jerome in particular, with him missing, we might need someone else to step up to the breach to Origin. But Brad Schneider, Trent Talau was outstanding in the trial a couple of weeks ago against Manly. I look at Penrith. I look at them a little bit differently, and everyone's saying they are the hunted. I guess they're the standard and the defending premiers, but I don't see the pressure on Penrith. I see the pressure on the rest of the competition. The pressure is on the rest of the competition to stop Penrith winning 5.
Yeah,
that's the pressure.
That's a great point, Brandy. That is a great point. The limited interaction I've had with the Penrith players here in Vegas, they seem really relaxed with it. Now, I can pass on the experience of having spoken with back in the day, Johnny Raper, Reg Gazdia. I spoke to Dragons players who were part of the 11. They said they did feel pressure early, defending a title, then trying to win 3 in a row. Once they got to 4 and 5, they were really comfortable with it. But here's a story. I don't know where we're headed. Once they got to 9, then they felt real pressure. It became a burden. It was really interesting to hear the great Chook Raper talk about it. And when their run of 11 ended, it was relief. So it was incredible across the most extraordinary run of any sporting team in elite sport. The Dragons, they became really comfortable as the hunted from about 3 onwards through that amazing run. And maybe Penrith have found that space now themselves.
Yeah, I think there's there is plenty of truth in that, and you're right. I thought they didn't look rattled at all last night, even though it took them a while to get into the game. They didn't look rattled, and I'll say it again. I think the pressure is on everyone else to stop them doing it. Now they've won 4 in a row, and the motivation seemingly is still there. Incredibly, they just want to improve. That's all they speak about.
They want to enjoy it.
Like I
want to enjoy it.
I just haven't come across a group of players like it ever.
I tell you where they did.
That's why they're doing something that's never been done.
They look so comfortable, very comfortable, defending their line late. How good was Penrith's defence, especially in the last 10 minutes? The likes of Martin, Cleary, Yo, Sorensen, they all pulled off huge tackles. And I don't know whether you can nominate the best tackle you saw late in that game, Brandy, but I was just in awe of the way that Penrith said, no, we're not going to give this game up late to you, the Sharks.
Yeah, you know who I was really impressed with from the Penrith side was Luke Garner, who had to play in the centres because of injuries. I thought Luke Garner made some tackles where he only just got the legs of Jesse Ramian or one of the outside backs, but I thought defensively that might have been an area where the Sharks targeted Penrith, and they did come up with their first try down that side. But don't forget, Penrith lost Casey McLean, in the first couple of minutes. So Dane Laurie had to then play on that wing with Luke Gunn. I thought defensively those two really put their hands up. They're playing in positions that they don't spend much time at.
Can I say that Cronulla did throw some pretty serious heat at the Penrith defence too. Now, Nico Hines is always in the spotlight. I thought Nico Hines was really good in the first half, but we'll have to review his second half performance. Didn't run as much as... Like in the first half, he had more runs in the first half than he had in the entire preliminary final against Penrith last year. He only ran twice in that game. Nathan Cleary ran 11 times. But I thought Hines was really good first half, but didn't sustain it for 80. Trindle likewise. I think they have to have, an honest assessment of yesterday. Promising, but still a way to go.
Yeah, and it doesn't matter if Fanor Blake is the best front rower in the competition this year, unless it happens with the 7 and 6 off the back of that. Like that's where their hopes lie. Like if the halves don't play well and don't play as well as we know they can, well, doesn't matter how much yardage Fanor Blake makes, or because it's a very good middle now with Sifa Talakai and Tommy Hazelton coming off the bench, along with Hamlin Ueli. When the Sharks were on the field, they look big and powerful. And I think they showed that, through plenty of sets last night. But the 7 and 6 need to be at their best, and you can't be inconsistent. You've got to be at your best every week, and they'll win a lot of games if they are. And I agree, Vossy. I thought Nico was very good and dangerous in the first half, and whether it was circumstance, whether they, possession didn't go their way, or it was field position, but just sort of disappeared a little bit. But they can't afford that. And Tricky was good. Braden Trindle was very good and dangerous, but made a couple of errors that were costly. And not that there was a whole lot of errors in the game, but the errors that both teams made, they were punished for them. And Tricky came up with a couple of little errors that, you just can't afford to make when you're chasing Penrith.
Back to Penrith, Brandy. South Coast Pantherette says Moses Leota was an absolute force yesterday. Another provider for the Penrith Panthers. Good text from you, South Coast Pantherette. Brandy, I know your beautiful wife Tanya organised some great birthday events before you went. I trust Vegas has made this your best birthday ever. Sadly, time is beating us, but long may the celebration continue for you and the Panthers. Great to have you as a guest on your own show this morning.
Matty, it's been a pleasure to be on with you. Vossy, I'll see you soon.
Yeah, you will. And where Brandy is, so I'm at the southern end of the strip, he's at the northern end of the strip. It takes about 45 minutes to walk from MGM Park down to Resorts World. But the view I have is of the desert mountains in the distance, the T-Mobile Arena, the home. I'm going to the ice hockey tonight, by the way. But where Brandy is, from Resorts World, I was reminded of my view last year. There's snow-capped mountains. You've got to pinch yourself. This is the desert, isn't it? But there's snow on the mountains off in the distance. It's besides everything else, it's an incredible landscape here in Vegas that I hope everyone listening can experience.
Brighton's lawyers need expert legal advice. That's what we do. Brekkie with Vossy and Brandy and a ring in.